One part of the mission of the International Space Station is to get human beings ready for the future of exploration, for missions to destinations beyond low Earth orbit. The work on the vehicle that will carry those future astronauts, the Orion Multipurpose Crew Vehicle, is continuing at several locations around the country. And this morning we're going to get an update on it from John McCullough, the Orion Vehicle Integration Manager. Good morning. It's nice to have you here.
Good morning. It's good to be here. It's like coming home. Been back in the control center.
It is.
Enjoy it.
2015 was a very busy year for Orion. Tell me about some of the highlights that you guys saw.
It really was another busy year for Orion. We seem to have a lot of them. But we started off, obviously, learning and applying the lessons learned from EFT-1, very successful test flight. Got a lot of data out of that, rolling that into our designs and updates to allow us to conduct a very successful critical design review, which we did last year, along with our partners in exploration, SLS at Marshall and ground systems at Kennedy. We all conducted our critical design reviews, and so that was a very busy time for the team, a large community review of all our products and milestone achievements. Moving through there, we had the European structural test article delivered to Plumbrook. I think we have some pictures of that. That was a very big milestone. Obviously, our European partners have done a great deal in building up the service module portion of the spacecraft, and so this test article is going to be used for extensive amount of test integration and mechanism deploys and environmental testing at Plumbrook. It'll then get also spend time at the Kennedy Space Center. So we're looking forward to that testing picking up. Right now they're in the process of outfitting it to the rest of the vehicle test articles that are out there at Plumbrook, and you'll be seeing that testing as we come into the next year. We've also had a huge milestone at the Michoud facility where we completed welding, and you see those pictures there, of the EM1 mission flight vehicle. So the pressure vessel for that vehicle had 7 critical welds. The stir friction weld process is a very unique and amazing large mechanism process that if you've seen it, it's quite an impressive thing to see and observe. But all that welding occurred and just actually finished up this last weekend. So we'll talk about next year or this year shortly. Moving on, we also did a lot of drop testing. We're leading the technology and the workplace in terms of large parachute spacecraft return science, and so that development sequence continued over the last year. We also, as you see here, did a lot of human-in-the-loop testing at the Johnson Space Center, and so this is the neutral buoyancy facility where we practiced ingress and egress of the crew, different techniques and different approaches in different environments. A lot of good testing there. We also used the mock-ups in Building 9 here at JSC to do other human-in-the-loop testing and simulations.
And that's all just
very,
1 year.
Very busy year, yeah. So very busy year.
Tell me about some of the milestones that are on the agenda for 2016. You've got a lot of. In fact, there was just an airdrop test last week.
That's correct. Yes. So we did 17 different drop tests to test the parachutes with different configurations, different failures, different techniques, and different changes to the chute design a little bit. That was our developmental phase, and that just completed over the last week. A very successful final drop for that. From there, we have 8 more drops this year, and leading on to EM1, where that actually transitions into qualification testing. So we actually are verifying and qualifying the design that we finished with the developmental phase. So the team out there does a lot of great work and really pulls the whole process together. Again, if you've been out there, had a chance to fly in the helicopter for one of the drop tests and help with the recovery of some of the components, and it's an amazing integrated process with a huge community that really pulls together all aspects of space flight. It's very exciting. So a lot goes on there. So yeah, that human drop test was very successful. We also just finished this weekend the welds for EDM1 vehicle. So the pressure vessel for the EM1 flight is complete. in terms of the assembly. And so beginning of February, that's going to be shipping via the Guppy to KSC for integration. The KSC.
Tell me if the EM1 we're talking about is
Yeah.
the next flight test, the Exploration Mission 1, and the vehicle's going to the Kennedy Space Center soon. And what happens to it once it gets there?
Yeah, so it's quite an extensive process. So our experience with the EFT1 really helped us improve and baseline and understand those processes so that we can be even more effective and efficient the second time. But once it gets to the Kennedy Space Center, we're going to do a proof test, pressure test, where we'll pressurize the vehicle and make sure that there's no leaks and no issues with the pressure vessel itself. And then the heat shield structure, not the heat shield tiles, but the heat shield structure will arrive and be assembled to the pressure vessel, and then they'll spend the rest of the year. 30 different subsystems will be delivered to Kennedy Space Center for integration. They'll be very busy with harness incorporation into the vehicle. They'll be very busy with a lot of the tubing that's required for the prop system. All gets routed in and hand installed to the vehicle. And so that's largely what they'll be doing as they work towards the 2018 flight. 2017 is a large period of integrated testing of the vehicle and all the different components after they've been assembled. So a huge amount of work is going to be going on at the Kennedy Space Center.
And that's, as you say, still a couple of years away before that flight, that test flight. But what happens during that test flight?
So that test flight is going to be a huge milestone for the agency. There's a little bit of video here, I think, as well. We are actually going to take the vehicle and exercise all the key systems, many of the key systems required for future missions. It's a 26-day flight. It's going to go, the very exciting part of it, it's going to go 70,000 kilometers past the moon, so farther than any other human-rated spacecraft will have gone. We're going to be delving into the proving ground, which is a huge piece of NASA's goals to get to Mars. So this is the environment where we're really going to test deep space systems, understand how our hardened systems work, and the environment, radiation environment, and then the ability to work in and navigate in that type of space is very unique for spaceflight. And so we're looking forward to that. That's going to be a huge exercise of the vehicle. 26 days in deep space.
Great. John, thanks for bringing us up to speed. We'll be keeping an eye on it.
Very good.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
John McCullough is the Orion Project Vehicle Integration Manager.